Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Global Falcons podcast. Join us on a journey to the future as we explore the next generation of businesses around the world. I'm Andrew L.G. Hunter.
And I'm Angela Hunter.
And we're bringing you the best stories of the week. All right, let's dive into it.
Let's do it. We're going to list the four.
Yeah, this time I think we're going to list all four so you guys know what to expect. Number one will be the UN Ambassador's climate message. Number two will be
how to make better decisions.
And number three will be cities cutting air pollution.
And number four is where is AI headed? So
these are some exciting topics, and we're proud to bring them to you. Okay, so let's start. Number one, UN Ambassador's climate message. I think with all the climate initiative talks lately, it's no doubt we were going to hear from an ambassador of some sort.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, and I think the one on the stories of the week was the ocean ambassador for the UN. So a little bit, I think the whole climate change thing started with a lot of research into why the oceans were changing. Ocean levels were rising, desalination, and the melting of the polar ice caps is huge, just dumping all of that fresh water into the salt water.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that that ambassador.
Okay, is that what we really think, though? Or
I mean, that's the message they're saying. But if you look at the entire history of the Earth, that's what happens. A global warming period where the ice caps melt and more water takes over, and that happens before an ice age.
So is my understanding, and I'm not a scientist, by the way, I'm just a guy with a podcast and a few businesses, but my understanding is that we have these the cycle for these climate changes and pole shifts is like 10,000 years of cold. And then 90,000 years of warmth. And we're at the end of the 10,000 years, from my understanding. I actually did a thing on Facebook, a little poll to see what people thought. And it was actually surprising how many people thought we were like coming up to the next ice age. And it's like, well, then wouldn't we be seeing more freezing? But we're not.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing more warming. And I think like the big thing that scientists are trying to put out there is that, yes, we go through cycles, but they're just saying that the human impact is speeding that cycle up. So the cycles might change. And we're at a point where the impact we're having on the cycles is maybe throwing them off. And maybe that's the alarming part.
Because we might be only at 9,000 years. Yeah. And then it's like now we're pumping these emissions into the ozone, which is, creating these holes, which is bringing... Or actually, that would be the opposite. It's not creating the holes in the ozone, right? Because that would bring in cold, would it? Or does that just give I don't know.
I feel like that might bring in more heat because the sun's getting through a little bit easier.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But also, like, the ocean side of it, like, we are ruining the ecosystems in the ocean, like all of the reefs and things. Like, you have to imagine that they have a large impact on the globe. And so maybe... we're heading into this cycle so damaged that they're afraid the cycle will just end and there won't be the next cycle.
Kind of like that movie. We're gonna bring up movies a lot. Because it's my personal belief that movies are just another way of propaganda. It's just another way to get people ready for this next thing. We've seen AI for years on movies, and I'm gonna get off track there, but it's just like that movie Day After Tomorrow, where it all happened in like 24 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
48 hours.
Well, and another thing that they had talked about was just the intensity of the storms increasing over the last few years. Like hurricanes are more powerful, snowstorms are more powerful. But we've also seen that we're in a period of a solar maximum. So increased solar activity. So that could also play a big impact on the severity of these storms. And so they might not just keep growing more and more severe as the solar comes back to a solar minimum. So that'll be interesting to see sort of the role that plays as well.
I think one of the biggest things that the UN ambassador for his climate message was that I picked up, anyways. Being a business owner, I think he said something about find a global issue and combat it with climate action initiative solutions.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big mouthful, but just like find an issue and then find a solution that coincides with what we're doing in the world for climate initiatives, right? And we're going to get into that more with the number 3 here, but that'll come later.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you feel about that? Also, the UN ambassador's name is Peter Thomson.
Yes. So, if you want to look him up and the things he's doing and stuff.
Yeah. Shout out to Peter. Good job. Good video. We enjoyed it.
Good. Yeah.
And okay. So number two is I might mess this name up, but Ravi Kumar. I think that's right. Ravi Kumar. He's a CEO and a nuclear scientist. So number 2 is how to make better decisions. Okay, what do you think?
Yeah, and sorry, he's the CEO of Cognizant. So they sort of are trying to teach companies how to lead better and be better management, and that will advance humanity a little bit better because in previous, everything has been very hierarchical. Like there's management, there's labor, there's everyone has a stage in there, and you're supposed to like sort of stick to that,
right? Like
stay to your pay grade type thing. But I think their push is leaders should be more of this is a team. We're not a hierarchy. We're a community, and we need to work as such and work at problems as such. So really, like trying to have a better alternative to problem solving than we've done in the past.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's very good. And the main reason for this and being more, on the manager side of things is that in the future, with AI coming in, it's just going to be these manager positions. A lot of these mundane jobs are just going to be AI and humanoid operated. It's not gonna. There's not gonna be a need. Like you're gonna want to manage your own life and your own business, and everyone will end up having their own business. So it's important to really start thinking about these things. Like, how are you going to be a good manager? What kind of business are you going to have?
And really working on those people skills, which I think we're sort of a little bit lost in COVID because we're so used to technology and we don't have a lot of person-to-person sort of contact as much as we did before.
Yeah, and it's getting lesser and lesser.
Yeah. So really working on those skills because they're going to be extremely important when in the future we want that human contact and that human communication.
So one thing that I always do, about, I don't know, at least once a year for like a few weeks, I start looking at our past and trying to match it up with our present. And then when I can do that, then I can understand exactly what to do for the future. But again, you need to think about our past in the future and how that will look did I say future twice? We need to look at our past with thinking of the future to understand where we go for our future, but with the initiatives and the direction that humanity as a whole is heading, because obviously if you go back many cycles into this what was the revolution of like coal and stuff like that, and
the industrial
revolution, obviously it's not going to be the same scenarios, right, as now, because we're leaving this age of what would you call that, the age of information, information age, into like an artificial intelligence and like this machined revolution. I don't know a better way to say that.
Mechanical revolution.
I like that. So yeah, that's what I do. I study the past to our present to figure out the future. This gives you a better understanding for your business and your business decisions, which is what we're talking about here. How to make better decisions.
It makes me think of a quote that we heard someone say when we were at a networking event where they said, your network is your net worth.
Mm.
And I think that's going to be huge in the future. The connections that you can make now to grow your business and be self-employed, because that is where a lot of things are headed. Especially now, like the freelance work, the global nomadism, it's just headed that way. So having a strong network, I think, is key. And
yeah, and then well, with the decision making, knowing what other people are doing, you know, and having to sit down with somebody and understanding fully what their direction is and what they think issues are. You can relate that to yourself, and it helps you make a better decision. One thing that Ravi Kumar said, he said, follow your gut, data, gut. And what he meant by that was your critical thinking for your gut feelings. You figure that out with the data that you collect, and you can do that by sitting down with people. It doesn't have to just be on the internet, you know. And then again, think of your gut, think of your feelings, and where you think you should go. So gut, data, gut, very important.
Yeah, these brainstorming sessions are just so important, and having people with so many diverse ideas and backgrounds can really bring out the best ideas, because you can throw out a ridiculous idea that you don't think is possible, but then someone can build on that. Like, well, that might not be possible, but if you spin it this way, and then that reminds someone of something that happened in their own life, and they say, you know, or you could take it in this direction, and then a ridiculous idea becomes a great idea. And one of the things that Ravi had said was, you shouldn't wait to have like 70% consensus on idea. Try to get to like that 50, 60 where most people are like, this is a pretty good idea, and then roll with it to stay ahead of the curve. Because he said, if you just wait for certainty, somebody else is already there and they're already building on it, and then you've lost out on that idea.
Yeah, if you're 100% sure of something, somebody else is definitely already doing it.
Yeah, you're 100% sure.
Because it's been proven. It works with somebody else, right?
So it's no longer an idea; it's out there.
Yeah, he said the best like little moment to make a jump is at 40 to 50%. If you're waiting past, like you said, 70%, you know, no good. So 40, 50%, you know, 50-50, this might work, this might not work. Roll with it.
Roll with it.
Yeah. Use your gut, your data, and your gut again.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. I think that's actually pretty good to just.
Yeah, that was a good summation. Yeah.
Number 2's done. Number 3, cities cutting air pollution. This is very interesting, because we found out that in 1974 this was actually starting, which is very interesting because, I mean, we live in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. That's a mouthful, I understand. But we are just thinking about getting this fast transit.
The bus rapid transit.
Yeah, the bus rapid transit. Yeah. And this was already a thing in the 70s in Brazil.
We are like 50 years behind, which is shocking to see.
Yeah, that's really not great to know that, you know, even with EVs, bikes, scooters, all of these things that are starting to come into our city, which I'm sure is in many cities, this is, you know, we're still so far behind. Yeah. It's crazy how far behind we are.
Yeah, that city that they had talked about was, I am not going to say this right at all, but it was Curitiba in Brazil. 80% of Curitiba, 80% of the residents use this bus rapid transit, and it just cut pollution so much in that city. And it's just surprising that it took so long for that research to like hit here, that we're just starting to work on it now, which, I mean, I can see how we'd be behind. We have very different climate than Brazil. We get very cold here. And so transportation has to look different than other parts of the world. Like we saw in Seoul, Korea, they're trying to make the city more walkable, and they're using old overpasses and turning them into walkways with green spaces. So that cuts back on air pollution in 2 ways. You're reducing traffic and you're adding the green space that cleans that pollution. But again, their climate is just so much different than it is here. So making our city walkable is just implausible.
Yeah,
for
we'd
4
have to
months of
put
the year.
domes over most of that. You
Like,
know?
I'm not trekking 10 kilometers in -60 to get to work. Like,
No.
it's just not happening.
But one of the things each city is now working towards is these 15-minute districts. I know this sounds crazy, not very good to do, but there's actually a lot of benefits to it. It'll bring more growth for each 15-minute district because you'll need these businesses that you might go to a businesses across a city, right? But now they can expand that business into a franchise that's in multiple places within the city that ensures each group of, or that whole community, each group of people, that business, right?
And we've already seen that in a lot of like fast food chains. You know, like there's a Timmy's every couple of blocks. There's Starbucks in every area of the city. And here in Canada, you can see that with like a pot shop everywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe not the direction the rest of the world is going in, but just as an example, there are lots of businesses that are spreading out. So.
It is possible, and you can talk with your banks. You know, banks love hearing the word franchise.
And even the work from home.
Oh yeah.
When people are working from home, having that 15-minute district is even more important because you don't have to leave for work, but you are going to need groceries. You're going to need daycare. You're going to need these various things. Where if you don't have to commute and you don't need a car, it would be nice to have these things a lot closer for transportation.
There is a lot of benefits to it, and I want to stress so much that don't be afraid of change. This sounds, you know, like almost like a prison type state everyone would be in, but not really. You know, if you think, like, how many people out there have roots with their neighbors? You know, most of the time people just, they don't want to talk to other people and stuff. This would force more community action with everybody, you know, and I think that's really good. That's a benefit. And there's plenty more benefits out there. So don't be afraid of the change.
And having these 15-minute districts isn't saying that you're locked in your district. It's just saying it's easier to get around, and these options are available for those that need it. If you want to drive across the city to get your groceries, like, all the power to you. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But having these options for people that maybe don't have that as one of their options, it just makes it easier living.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more inclusive.
There's going to be, we're going to start to see many, again, more initiatives that, you know, get people more excited about this. Like, we read or heard that they'll be removing sales tax on zero emission initiatives. So, like, if you have a business idea, you know, you're not going to get taxed too much as long as it's zero emissions, right?
Yeah, and one of the big things that they're doing that sales tax, like removing the sales tax on taxi companies, so that you're buying EV vehicles for your taxi company, and that's reducing emissions. Because in big cities like London, New York, and things like that, a lot of people take the taxi because they don't drive because it's expensive and hard to get through traffic anyway. So they take taxis, and there's millions of taxis on the road. So having them not producing emissions is huge for the city, reducing their pollution output.
Yeah. And I mean, Elon Musk is coming out with taxis that don't require a human at all. I mean, that's not just for him. He needs lots of people out there, lots of business owners to get involved with him to even make that possible. So you could, you know, just piggyback somebody else's idea, you know, and roll with that. You can contact them, you can work with them to make their dream come true, and just be a part of that. You don't have to come up with your own best idea that's going to work. You can just help the whole scheme as a whole come to fruition, you know?
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good wrap on that one.
Good. Number 4, and I love this one. If you know us at all from our other podcasts and stuff out there we've done, we love AI. We think it's just the best thing, and it's probably because of our era and the movies we've seen, and we just know that there's a lot of benefits to this. So this is, where is AI headed?
Which is hard to predict because it's so
broad.
Yeah, and it really depends on who's working in that space. Like AI is, I mean, it will probably advance human, but so far it's only going to go as far as human creativity can take it. Like, what information are we feeding it? Where are we growing? Where are we funding? What businesses are using it, and what is the purpose they're using it for? So right now it's a little bit hard to say where it's going to take us because we don't know everyone that's using it.
Yeah.
But if you do look at who's using it and for what purpose, you can sort of see where their portion is going to take us.
I think it's going to eradicate all jobs, and not in a bad way. I think it's going to take the mundane things, like I said earlier, out of the job force altogether. These things that people don't like doing and they drag their feet at anyways, they'll be a thing of the past.
Like
AI and humanoids, they'll take it over.
Yeah. Like manufacturing was huge because it brought about the assembly line and really a mass work production. And that did feed a lot of families, but it also kept a lot of families in poverty. Like, you're not making very much money because you need so much human power to get those manufacturing things running properly.
Right, which means consumers are spending more to even get those products, which means just because you're making money, yes, it's a lot less, but you're spending more, right?
Yeah, so bringing AI and getting machines to do the manufacturing, it's going to lower the cost.
We'll be in a land of abundance.
Yeah, which we sort of are right now, but there's still so much disparity between rich and poor that hopefully AI will bridge that gap.
Yeah, we do have a land of abundance right now, but this is going to be a land of abundance that's stupid cheap.
And for everyone, not just for a select few.
Yeah, like this Temu thing, this Temu vibe where that's picking up and everyone's like, oh, shop like a billionaire.
Our daughter sings that all the
time. Yeah, that's going to be like every business right away. Well, maybe not right away, but by 2030, I would suspect
quite a few businesses. Yep.
But what will our kids? You brought up our kids. What will their jobs look like in the future? Yeah. How are you going to instill a good life for them? What do they need to be learning now to be a part of the future?
Yeah, and one of the things that the video had brought up was that soft skills are going to be important. Like I said before, just that human-to-human contact. The humanities are going to be very important. So, yes, AI can do art and create things like that, but things that are created by human for human is just going to be that much more valuable. And then being able to teach children this new way of life is going to be huge. So, having those human teachers, those tutors, to teach the skills that we're not going to be able to get just from having machines run everything.
I agree. What else do you think?
Another person had said on the video that cultural awareness is going to be huge because that's going to be hard for AI to pick up on these cultural differences. But when you're speaking to another person, you can tell right away if they're from a different culture than you because there's a lot of differences just in language. And so
we talked about that last week with our last podcast, languages
and AI. Actually.
And AI, yeah. So I think you're hitting the head on the nail there. Cultural awareness has always been a must in any community. You can't really understand somebody and who they are and where they're going to go unless you understand their cultural beliefs and their past. So it's important that we move forward in a way that is fair for everybody, but we understand everybody's fairness needs. Does that make sense?
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. And another thing that was brought up was augmenting instead of replacing.
Yeah.
So I'm not just talking like augmentation in like virtual reality and things like that, but using AI to augment a job instead of replace it. So in my field, being a lawyer, using AI to help draft documents and arguments and look for research is a lot different than just getting programs that do your job for you, right? Like using AI to build tools to help you instead of completely replace you is what the focus should be, especially when we're talking about the job market. Because we don't want to replace every job, but we want it to enhance these jobs that should be for humans.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, AR, augmented reality, that's already a thing in like our city. And like I said, we're so far behind. I'd imagine it's in your city too. At SciAst here, plumbers are already starting to use headsets to have the augmented reality of pipes in front of them so that they can fit those together, and you're saving on materials for the learning portion, right? Which is huge. And I think it'll give people more of that hands-on learning that is actually needed. You know, like you can pretend that you're in a job site, you know, but you're not. You're sitting at a desk, you know.
And that's huge.
That is so massive, because that hands-on learning has always been the best way to learn, in my opinion.
And it's very hard to get, because when you're trying to do hands-on learning from a company where they have to take their time and resources to train you that hands-on learning,
it can be very costly.
It can be, and then people might not stay, so employers are hesitant to make that investment. So just having that available is insanely huge for the job market.
I agree. I also wrote down here robots for mundane positions. I keep saying this word mundane, but robots are going to be the biggest part, I think, of this jump in AI. And as we know, Elon Musk is pumping these things out next year here, 2025. 20 to 30,000 USD, I think he was saying. So that's going to make there's a lot of positions in my industry, the construction industry, that they're just awful to do. You know, it's hard on your back positioning wise. It's stressful. There's also claustrophobic moments, you know. These will be the things that you can just chuck an AI into, and they're going to pump that out for you in an easy way.
Which is great. And I think that another thing that was talked about on the video was how we roll out AI. So
how
if you
to govern
roll it, well, just even introducing it into society, because there are so many people that are technology hesitant. They don't like the word job replacement. And so they're going to be very resistant to AI. There's already people out there that absolutely hate it and think that we should completely stop working on it. So I think it's important to keep the conversation going in a positive light and talk about the things that AI can do to benefit humanity. No, we don't want it to replace every single job so that nobody works. Like, that's not anybody's goal. It's to replace certain jobs that humans don't need to do because they don't benefit us in any way. There's no growth there. There's no learning. It's just this mechanical thing that a machine should be doing for us so that we can focus on things that like actually better us, like having, so the US is already sort of like tilted this way where it's less manufacturing. There's actually more yoga teachers than coal miners. So it's just like those personal skills, like things that better us. We look for health professionals to make our bodies better, live longer, live a better life. So yoga teachers, nutritionists, what is that one? A naturopath instead of a doctor. Things that benefit us, that are soft skills that you can learn and then teach others how to better their lives. And it's not that, it's more fulfilling because you're helping people. You're not standing in a line doing one thing on a product. And that doesn't give you any value.
Like
you
fast
don't go
food
home.
chains.
You don't go home feeling like super pumped about headed back to work the next day.
And you know, these things can be a crutch once you enter them. You know, you get comfortable. You get,
and no doubt you get good.
Yeah, for sure. But you're gonna get comfortable. You're gonna get dependent on this job that if it wasn't there, you would find something else that you were much happier doing. And I think that's where the future is going, is how do we make people more happy? How do we make people wake up every day and want to be better? They want to explore more. They want to learn more. They want to become a better them. How do we do that? And I think that's where the future is going to be. So if you can think of ideas for that, I think you have a big future ahead of you and you should roll with it. Don't wait till that's 75% or 100% surety. Run with it. Go with it. I think there's going to be this this big moment too where people are very unsure as to their future with AI. I think it'll be like almost like a scared scenario where people people don't understand it, so they're scared. I think how do we govern it is one of the things that was mentioned on the video, and that really hit me. I was like, yeah, how do we govern that? How do we ensure our safety? Because these things are no doubt better, stronger, faster than humans. But I think if you think like that, then it's not going to be very great. I think we need to think how can we govern them, and how can we live with them.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that it's here for our benefit. It's not here to replace us. It's not here to get rid of us. It's here to benefit us in our lives. And just focusing on that and making sure that that's the message to the public, I think it's going to go a lot further for AI.
Yeah. I know that we are going to talk about AI a lot more coming up in the future. I have no doubt, because it's such a big initiative right now that's happening, and I think you need to figure out ways to live with it, right?
Yeah, so too.
All right. Well, I think that was our 4. Actually, I know that was our 4 episodes, or not episodes, our 4 topics for this episode.
Yeah.
So if you like them, please give us a like. Also share with a friend and throw down some comments. We want to see more. We want to hear more. As we grow this podcast, we want to grow with you. Yeah, we're not just sitting here just to look pretty. We want to interact with you. We want to know your thoughts, and that can help us determine our futures too.
Yeah, we appreciate any comments, likes, shares. Those are all great. Comments about anything that we can improve on. We love feedback. It's always helpful. Even when it's negative, there's something you can take out of it. So, but be kind in the comments.
yeah. Also, don't rip on us hard, right? No, I think this was a great episode, and next week, I don't have the list in front of me, but I know next week will be good too. And we're just going to keep trying to better it. So thanks for tuning in. This has been the Global Falcons Podcast. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Angela.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.